Okay.
Happy Saturday!
Welcome to our, is this the third?
Yeah.
Third episode of our Speaking of
Episode
Love
3.
vlog?
Yes. If you don't include the first intro one.
Yeah, I don't count that
Okay,
one.
episode 3.
3, okay. So we're going to do some chatting today about communication in relationships. So
The best.
this will be
so much fun.
fun and interesting topic. And then we have a surprise question at the end because I got some fun discussion cards that we're just going to randomly draw out and try to
They're all
answer.
mixed up.
So
It'll be fun.
But all right, so to start today's questions, the first question we're looking at is how can you have more intimate conversations with somebody?
For that one, I said that I think you definitely need to set time aside. Like if you want to have a really intimate conversation with someone, you need to do it like obviously one-on-one. Maybe, I mean, you could do it at a restaurant, but I feel like that there's so much going on. Like there's the waiter's coming up to you, you can get distracted, or you might see somebody like you're having this really intimate conversation, and someone's like, Amanda! And it's like, so I don't know. I think those need to be almost at home or like somewhere secluded, like a park. I don't know, but I feel like you need to just set aside a specific time if you have something you really want to talk about that's like intimate and really important, and you need to kind of be alone so there's not other people that could interrupt or overhear or something like that. You can feel more free to share your mind.
Yeah. That's kind of sort of along the same lines of what I said. I think some of my more intimate or serious conversations that I've had with people have been like going to sleep at night, or when you go to bed but you end up like talking for like 3 hours with somebody and you're like,
those are good.
Just keep having conversations, usually in the beginning of a relationship more than anything, but yeah.
Car ride conversations are good for like just quiet, intimate, like just in the car. Those are nice.
All right.
Okay, next question. That one was the one that we kind of struggled with wording, but what should someone do what should I do if I feel like I need you to talk to me? So like, what'd you write? So I guess the way we're wording it is like, what should someone do if they really need to talk to you? So like, if I really wanted to talk to you, what would you want me to do?
Oh, okay. So I think I kind of wrote this down. I just know that in previous relationships, like I have been a terrible communicator when it comes to like more serious conversations. Like
I avoid them like the
not
plague.
great at bringing things up, and that's something I've definitely worked on in the last couple of years. So I think for me, I don't know if I have a great answer for that.
That's fine.
But I think that I'm definitely working on it. So whatever relationship I have next, that will be.
You'd be great.
That's what I'm going to try to do better at. So.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta put the same thing as my first answer is if you really need to talk to me about something, I think you would need to set aside time and be like, hey, can I come over at 4 o'clock, or hey, can I call you at 5 o'clock? I really want to talk to you about something. I think you need to someone have to map out a time. Like, hey, I need to talk to you about this. Can I talk at this time? Or else I'm going to get on some other, if I'm just hanging out with somebody and they want to talk to me, I'm like, let's watch Netflix. Like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. We said the next one is, how can I let you know I don't feel like talking, or how can someone let you know, or how can someone know that you don't want to talk, I guess.
I feel repetitive because I kind of said the same thing as the first two, but I just put, you have to just set aside time. So I think you have to be solid enough in your communication skills to kind of say, I don't really want to talk about this right now. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about this later? But I'm a big believer in not going to bed angry at somebody.
Yeah.
So I think you don't need to use that you have to be careful that you're not using that as an excuse, like avoid the conversation. It can be like, hey, this is kind of a really heavy conversation. Do you mind if we just take some time apart and think about it? I need to collect my thoughts. Can we talk about it later today? But I think you have to be careful that you don't use that as a avoidance mechanism.
Strategy,
Yeah, so you're not, because I'll do that. I'll be like, I don't want to talk about that right now. And then I'll just avoid the plague.
Yeah.
I won't want to talk about it. But, you have some things you can't do that with. So.
Yeah. I kind of was thinking, or coming at it from a different angle, thinking of, like, when I need my alone time, how am I supposed to let somebody else know? And I think that comes with getting to know somebody. I'm very much a person who, like, if I come home and don't say much to you, or come over and don't say much to you, or, like I said, if something's up, it's usually all over my face, especially if it's, like, negative. So, that and just kind of saying, like, hey, I need some alone time. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that.
I think especially if it's not something like, but if it's not something I was kind of going from like if it was something really serious.
Yeah.
But that's a good point too. If it's just like, hey, you want to talk? It's like, no.
No, I had a rough day at work and I would like to go
I just
sit
want
by
to have
myself.
Yeah, that's a good that's a good way to come at it as well.
Yeah.
Like if it's not as serious, it's like I just don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's not personal. It's just I just don't want to talk right now. The next one is, how can someone best communicate a problem or concern to you?
I think my questions got mixed up here. I said, I think it depends on when you bring it up too. Like
Yeah.
there's a good time and not good time to bring things
Yeah.
up. I don't think it's a good idea to bring up issues like right in the middle of like other stuff going on,
Yeah.
or being like, okay, we're getting ready to leave to go do this, and then you're like, oh, by the
By the
way, now we're going to start a disagreement or argument, and
That's
know.
good.
So probably when there's enough time for you to actually have the conversation and in an appropriate place. And I think with me, obviously, just with a good tone, because again, I'm not great with conflict and or with constructive criticism. So I feel like if you come at me in a nice, polite way, I'll take it a lot better.
Like, Amanda, you know what? I just really feel like you're not gonna like. It's like that's how I'd be like, okay, and I'm not like, it's almost tunnel vision. Like I'm not even hearing you. I just feel so much guilt. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I would need someone to be direct to me. I'm probably gonna get defensive, not outwardly, but in my head I'm gonna be like having that kind of meltdown inside. But if you try to come at me kind of like kitty gloving it, I'm gonna probably not listen as great as if you just came at me and said, hey Beth, I really talked to you about this, you've been doing this and I don't like it. I'd be like, but they're right. Like I'll eventually process it, but I'll be like, okay. But I just need someone to say it to me straight, because if they're like, hey Beth, you might just want to think about maybe working on smiling more, because I would just be like, okay,
I'm not smiling anymore.
He said, Beth, you have an RBF, you gotta fix it. I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yikes. Alright, and then we said
19.
Is there anything about someone's tone of voice that has bothered you, I guess, in the past?
Yes, I put 100% tone is everything. But it's also, I put that it's so often like misconstrued. That's why I think if you're having a serious conversation, which I think is later, that you don't need to have it over text or email, because if you don't put an exclamation point or an emoji sometimes, or if you put a period, I'm like, even with you, sometimes you'll text and just say like something on a period, and I'm like,
oh, she's mad.
She's mad. And she's
I use dashes. I don't use periods. I use dashes all the time.
And she's completely fine, but I'm like, she's mad. I think that's why like important conversations do not need to be over text or email, because they can be misconstrued. But like if someone says anything to me with a condescending tone, I'm already checked out. So I think tone is 100% everything. Like if you come at, like if you're trying to have a conversation, you're both talking calmly, you're going to get so much more done than if someone starts to raise their voice, because then that person's tone is going to change, and then you're just screwed.
So I said too, the same kind of thing. Like how you bring it to me is going to make me more receptive. If it's angry, and I'm not gonna like it. Which leads into the next question, which was,
Am I supposed to read it? Sorry.
What topics should we only discuss in person and not through text, email, or phone? So you kind of started with that, talking about like having the right tone for something. So what kind of topics did you have?
I put important conversations, which I think all conversations are important. But if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna have like if it's gonna be a disagreement conversation, that shouldn't be something or anything even remotely negative should not be over text, because it's gonna come across not how you want it to, no matter how many. Because you don't, if it's something negative, you don't really want to put emojis. So I think anything negative or disagreement. I also put like big choices.
That's exactly what I
like.
have
Obviously, if you're texting like, "Hey, what do you want for dinner?" But then if you're texting like a significant other and you're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving to Seattle," that's not a text that anybody wants.
That's a real conversation.
That's not a text thing. It's just like, "Hey, do you want Chick-fil-A for lunch?" That's a text.
P.S. I'm breaking up with you.
Yes, that's not a text. Don't. Don't do that over text. If no one listens to anything else that we ever say, please don't break up with somebody over text.
Not a good idea. So, all right, and then
you didn't answer it.
Oh, I didn't. I said kind of the same thing, so I wasn't even thinking. So I said anything potentially misread in a text or big decisions, which we're on the same wavelength for that exactly. So
Okay, great. 21. What topics do you most enjoy discussing with me or like a significant other?
I think, first of all, like past experiences, like having those more intimate conversations where you get to know about somebody's childhood or things that have happened to them, where like one part of a conversation just leads into another part, and it just like makes it a really long, interesting conversation. Like, I love those.
Yeah, those are so nice, like little fuzzy.
And I always find like interesting conversations when it comes to like random facts, or like you play trivia, or you play Jeopardy, or it's kind of like, what do you know, what do you not know?
That's
like
fun.
Those are kind of
those
fun
like branch into other things too. Because you like answer something, you'll be like, speaking of that, and it gives you things to branch into. Yeah, I put what is it, 21? I put things that they're passionate about. I obviously like to talk about, but also things that we're both passionate about. Because like if someone wants to talk to me about baseball and they're passionate about it, or basketball, because I don't know anything about really those two sports, so it's like I want to listen, and I love how passionate people get when they're talking about things, but I can't really contribute to that. I can be, okay, that's great, that's really fun, but I mean, if you want to talk hockey, I'd rather talk hockey because I can contribute. We can have a hockey. We can have a much longer conversation. But I mean, I like seeing people get passionate about things they care about, but I can't really contribute on certain things. Like,
I think you kind of have to think too of the person you're talking to. Like, I know not everybody's gonna want me to spend time talking about running or like Disney or whatever else, because they may not connect with it. So to like get excited about something, I think is fine, but to like try to have a full-blown conversation with somebody who's just like not responding well to you is probably not the best idea. So
it needs to be a mutual like thing you get excited about.
And then our last one is, how can someone listen to you better so you feel completely heard?
I put no phone. That seems really simple, but even if your phone rings, almost, it's like I immediately, like if I'm talking to somebody and their phone rings several times, I'm like, you can check that, it's fine.
Like me earlier telling you, wait, hang on a second.
Oh yeah, I never finished that story, but
let me respond to this work-related text message.
Yes, but it was work-related, so it was totally fine. And I'm glad you said something instead of
ignoring you.
Instead of you being like, yeah.
What'd you say?
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I'm talking about like something traumatic. But yeah, definitely no phone, or if you need to check your phone, like verbalizing like, hey, I gotta respond to this. I put no phone. They need to ask questions, because like, they're not listening to me. Yeah. But even if it's something silly, like if I'm talking about, one of my family members, be like, oh, you're talking about your brother? Like even something just simple like that, it lets me know they're engaged. And then I said maybe follow up. So even something as simple as, like I was thinking, I've been watching Grey's Anatomy, and it's like
too much Grey's Anatomy.
I think everything's wrong with me. But it's like if I'm watching Grey's Anatomy with another person, and they come up a couple days later and they're like asking questions about the show, or like I'm telling someone about a show, and then they come up to me and they're like, oh hey, I saw this fact about Grey's Anatomy. It's like, oh, you were actually listening when I was talking to you. It's always something like that.
Yeah. It's like the little details that somebody remembers.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, they went out of their way, learned something about what I was saying, and then like brought it back to me. It's like they really listened.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the original question was now.
Oh, how can someone listen to you better so you feel completely heard?
I think for me, it is just something that I have to build a trust and relationship with somebody to feel comfortable enough with them to like bring stuff up, or feel like I can fully express myself in whatever way.
That's true.
So I think for me, that's just a time building thing, less of a
something you can just like flip a switch. Yeah. So. That's true. We do the cards.
All right. So Beth's excited now. We're gonna do
I've been excited the whole time.
That's true. So we're gonna do our random fact card discussion card for the day. Honestly, if it sucks, let's pick another.
Yeah, it's called So Cards, and it's a collection of questions for deeper discussions. But Amanda got these, and we've like flipped through a couple of them, and they're really good. So Amazon,
hey, something to do.
Sponsor me.
Pick a card.
Any card.
Ooh, actually, this one's really good, especially with today's climate. Okay, because I actually have a good answer for this. When did you first learn about race, and how did that change the way you saw people?
Oh, that one's good.
It is good.
Oh, that one's one I want to like think about for a second so I can get a good answer.
So you sing the Jeopardy song?
You answer first.
Okay. I think one of the most memorable moments that I thought about was in kindergarten. And I remember I had an African American teacher, or she was a teacher assistant, and she pulled us aside. We were doing small reading groups, and we were reading different parts. And one of the kids that was in the reading group, when he got assigned one of the parts, said, "I don't want to read that part. That kid is black." And I remember the teacher at the time, remember we're 5, we're in kindergarten, kind of making the point of saying, you know, it doesn't matter if you're black or white or a pink baby or purple baby or whatever else, you know, everybody's equal and valuable and you can read for that part. And so, like, I think because she was so adamant about that, which was good. I mean, you recognize that even when you're 5, you may not be able to, like, express it to somebody else again. Well, maybe until you're later, like now I can, but at the time it was just kind of like, oh, okay, you got you, we'll keep with that. So I think that was probably really one of the most impactful moments for me when it came to learning about race. And so
I think mine would be as a kid when we went to visit my great-grandmother in the hospital, and I had never met her before. And my dad never said anything like about her to us. He just was like, your great grandmother's very, very sick. And we were like, you know, I was little. I was probably like 4 or 5 at the time. And we went to visit her, and she was African American. And my dad he never like said, you know, great grandmother's African American, because it was never like an issue. But I remember we went and she was telling us about, as a 5-year-old, I remember she was talking about how her and her husband got married way long ago, and they had to marry in secret. And I remember thinking as a 5-year-old, why?
Yeah.
Like, why did you have to marry in secret? And I remember getting almost angry about it as a 5-year-old and not understanding why they had to get married. It wasn't okay. And I remember just being like, I remember asking her why, and she was...
You being a proactive 5-year-old.
And she was trying to explain it to me, and I just remember kind of just being like, well, you liked each other.
Like, so why not? So... That's my answer.
Hey, Scott, we're in the middle of video. We're doing our video.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Don't get it done.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up.
Okay, bye.
So we will see you guys next time and work on your communication skills.
You should have